Hi guys, today we are going to see a pastured poultry operation. So we have some really neat infrastructure to show you today. We're going to look at some Joel Salatin brooders and the actual chicken tractors. And these things were built by the book, the Polyface Designs book, and I'll leave a link to that. But we're going to give you a look at that and actually show you the process of butchering these chickens. So from A to Z today, we're going to get the birds out of the chicken tractors. We are going to put them in the killing cones, get them in the scalder, get them in the plucker, process the birds, and shrink wrap them in bags and throw them in the freezer. So this is going to be a really informative video today, so stick around. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Craig, my husband, and he's going to really take us around and show us all the infrastructure and the equipment. The equipment that's being used today is actually Featherman equipment. I will also leave links to those products down in the description. Craig will give you all the details on what you see in this video, so I will hand it over to him, and I hope you enjoy this video. Here comes a little friend.
Let's take a look inside the brooder house. We put two 8x8 brooder houses to the Polyface Designs spec. That is an awesome book, by the way. The Polyface Designs book by Joel Salatin and Chris Slattery. Amazing book. We used their running gear design for our brooder houses and we loved it. Worked great. We didn't have a rat problem, didn't have a snake problem, didn't have a predator problem. The cats would sunbathe on the sides. Worked really well. So 8x8 brooder houses, two of them. This allowed us to cycle 500 birds at a time, 250 in each one till 3 weeks old, and that worked pretty well. We had the Shinvec, I can't remember the model number, but they're Shinvec brooder heater, and worked really well. You fill this up with wood chips and get your carbon to nitrogen ratio just right. The windows during the day, you prop the windows up and let the airflow go over the heaters, and the chicks are still underneath, all nice and toasty. So the feeders we used in the chicken tractors are actually just a black 8-inch drainage tile. And then we cut right along, there's a green line on them, we cut right along the green line, about a 5-inch opening, 4 foot long. And then we just put some pieces of wood and some tin on the back end, a piece of PVC for the handle. And one of these feeders holds a 5-gallon bucket of grain, and we screwed a board on the end to keep it from tipping. Those, super durable, and they worked really well. The waters are a broiler drinker. They're made by Plasson. They're a really durable commercial application water. These are the same water we used in the brooder house as well as the chicken tractors. They have a little clip here, and simple concept. It's just a bucket of water. It's gravity fed. Comes down this line, comes in here. There's a flat rubber washer here. And then you have a bell, and this is filled with water. It's a counterbalance, and it makes sure the water is hanging plumb at all times, because your water level then won't run over the lip of the water. What are we putting in the chicken feed? What are you getting in your chicken when you eat that? We do all non-GMO grains on the ranch here, so everything that you see in here is all non-GMO. What we feed them is we really believe strongly on the non-GMO. We raise our corn, soybeans, our oats. We grind it and process it all right here. The control of the product stays here through the life cycle. I've got ground corn. I've got ground soybeans that are roasted, which we have our own roaster, so the product never leaves the farm. We roast it right here. It comes right out here to the bin. Ground oats. Then I've got Fertrell NutriBalancer. We've got aragonite in here, which is your calcium. Then we got 75 pounds of fish meal. We will actually go down to the creek, and we've got some good sandbars, and we'll go down and we'll get some buckets of grit, and the chickens really like that. It helps them process their food in their gizzard. So a lot of good nutritionally dense food here that the chickens are breaking down for your body to process, and then they're also getting a large portion of their diet is the bugs, the grasshoppers, the clover, the alfalfa, orchard grass, and whatnot that they're moved to every day. So good, high quality feed.
Is that good stuff? Does it smell good? That's all right.
One of the great things about the Joel Sallet and chicken tractors is their mobility and the ability to get a healthy chicken and a healthy soil. Being able to move the birds every day gives the birds fresh, clean grass, ground, and air. They're not confined in a building where there's limited airflow and they're standing on their fecal matter every day. This allows them to move to a fresh location every day, new bugs, new grass. It also heals the soil. You have a lot of manure that's been deposited here in just one day. 75 chickens right on this 10 by 12 area. You can see the matted down manure here. That's really healthy for the soil. So it's really good for the health of the soil, but also for the bird. The bird's in clean, fresh grass every day. You can see them over there. They're just happy. And then now, where do I do my sound of music? The hills are alive with the sound. So the best way we've found to do this, to empty the tractor, instead of crawling in there and them running away and flying out and everything else on you, 2 hog panels, and we just tip the tractor up and then run them into the trailer. Remove your water.
Take your empty feeder, put it underneath the trailer.
Plug any holes. These things are vicious. All right. And then here in a second, the kids are going to help. That'll work. Can you come over here and hold this animal right here? Hold that, please. All right. Tell me when you're ready.
Yep. Get on that panel, dude.
So you just gently shoo them into the trailer, and you just say, "Here, birdie, birdie," and go in the trailer, and they'll all go in. Shoo, shoo, shoo. That didn't work. Maybe if I show them, they didn't understand. Bark, 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 bark. That didn't work either. In the end, you just have to grab one and gently give them a push into the straw bed inside the trailer, because they're not going to go. You're going to have to physically catch them. And be careful, because these Freedom Rangers at 7 or 8 pounds are pretty vicious. They will bite you, and they will actually draw blood. They've got a good beak on them, and they're feisty. They'll actually come at you. It's kind of exciting. If you find one that's kind of mean, like this guy looks mean. He looks mean, doesn't he? So, and then you just load them up. All right, kids. Whoever wants to come, all these birds need in the trailer. Just loaded the last tractor of Freedom Ranger chickens from the Freedom Ranger hatchery, and I'd say they're about 6 pounds. They're big birds. The way the weather was with bean harvest, corn harvest, all the different things going on, we did a couple thousand chickens this summer, and this is the last one here, October 30th. We just had our first frost this morning. They were still on some really good forage here. We had some orchard grass, alfalfa, some collards, turnips, that kind of stuff they were on. You can see the trail of the moves every day, pulling these tractors forward, giving them that new green forage every day, giving them good clean bedding. We have 12 tractors. We've already picked some of them up. We need to get the others picked up and the waters put away and the feeders put away, all that stuff here as we're headed into November next week. The tractors we have painted a number on. This is number 1, which is ironically the last one we did. The tractors have a number on them so you can track your lots, you know, what birds came in at what date and how fast they finished, so forth. If you're having any predator loss, or if you're having multiple people doing chores, you say, hey, I saw a bird that looks weak in tractor number 5, or tractor number 8 needs the water watched because it's got bigger birds and it uses more water every week, or something like that. It's really handy to have your tractors numbered. Number your tractors. Okay, just to kind of go an overview on the tractors, these are the Joel Salatin style chicken tractors. They're a 10-foot by 12-foot tractor. It's treated lumber with aluminum or metal on it. The aluminum is really important. We're in zone 5B here in Kansas, and you shouldn't have a problem with heat. The aluminum's like 20% cooler, I believe, than steel, and it's lighter. So when you're pulling them, it's that much lighter. And when you're moving 12 tractors, 1,000 birds every day all summer, it's a big deal. And the chickens like the cooler anyway. We had the Plasson broiler drinker waters hanging from the tractor here. The treated lumber, we're going to pick these up and put them under the shelter for the winter. And yeah, they work really well, and you can get the cut list out of the Polyface Designs book. Each tractor should have about a 75 count capacity to it. That gets you a pretty balanced feed, water to grass ratio. You don't want to be too crowded, but you don't want to be under 75 either. 75 is a good point. That's what Joel Salatin recommends, 75 to a tractor. Okay, here's the dolly. Leave this up when you're done moving your tractors, because the next morning when you come out, and it might be in the dark, it can be hard to find when you've got a foot of alfalfa or 2 foot of clover or whatever. If it's laid over, it can be really hard to see when you're half a mile away coming out to the field to move it. So pick a tractor, come up here, and stick it under there. Wind won't blow it over, and you'll be able to see it from a quarter mile away. All right. Come on, kids.
You taking all the kids?
Yeah.
All right.
Got the Featherman Rotodunk chicken scalder, or you could use it for turkey, I'm sure. I'm just going to walk you through how we set it up if we're going to butcher for the day. You're going to want to make sure you got to plug in close, and you'll need actually 2 110 plugs, one for the roto motor and one for the electronic thermostat down here. So you'll need 2 plugs. Just walk through it real quick. The Rotodunk, it's got 2 baskets, and it just sits in there and pulls out. It's got a square drive over here, and it pulls in and out. So you can set that in there, and the square drive meets up there, drops in a slot over here. Got your power on over here, and then it'll Rotodunk. The water level is not high enough right now. We'll raise that here later as we go to process. You're going to want to fill this with water and turn on the burner hours and hours ahead of when you're actually going to scald. So look at your manual, and then be ready to adjust your thermostat a little bit and get your water up to temperature before you start processing. You're going to need to fill it and get the burner going hours ahead of time. So the Rotodunk got down here, I don't know if you can see this. This is a drain, so once you're full, you got hot water you want to finish up and clean up, you can dump that out right there. You got your pilot and your lighter here, your thermocoupler. You got your gas line going down to your burner underneath, and your electronic thermostat. So to start it, plug both in, or you don't need the motor right now, but plug your thermostat in first. Hook your gas bottle up. Turn your gas bottle on all the way. You need to make sure you got a regulator on there. It'll come with it, but make sure that's on there. So regulator over here, you turn your control to pilot here. There's a little red button down here. You turn the knob over to pilot, and then you hold up on that, and that'll get you gas down here to the pilot light and down in here. And you should be able to see a blue flame down in there that lit the pilot. And then when I let this off, it should, and I'll turn it to on, and it'll light the whole burner. If you look in there now, you can see the whole blue flame and a full burner in there. So there you go. Okay, so do this hours ahead. In fact, give yourself a buffer. Make sure you do this plenty early and your water's good and hot so it is ready to go once you start killing birds. And it's hot. Be careful. The one side has, and it's labeled, It has the vent, and so the hot air will be coming up from the burner underneath and up through right here. So this whole side is really hot, so watch that. We had trouble with airflow, too much air, so we duct taped off those ports down there and then shut that down a little bit too. And that seemed to help us get a better burn and keep our temperature up better. Okay, we got the chickens in the trailer. We're getting ready to scald them and process them. Scalder looks good and hot. We keep a boiling pot on a turkey boiler right next to it, and we just add hot water as we go. So as the birds go in and come out, they steal a little bit of water at a time. And if you're doing, 50 to a couple hundred birds a day, that water runs away on you and you start losing water. Instead of adding cold water, we like to add hot water that's already up to temperature, and we can keep our recovery rate from slipping away from us. So we keep some hot water right to the side. Okay, so on a typical day, we'll try to do about 2 tractors, maybe 150 birds, 3 people, and we can pretty much get those butchered good time and get them in the chill tank, and then we'll clean them the next day when they're nice and cold, 38 degrees or whatever. So this one's a non-compliant, so he can come back out.
These aren't your chickens, like trying to die before you give them the chickens.
So once the bird's in here, we actually fill the cones up, and we have a spare cone back there because there's only 8 cones on the Featherman style here, and we like to do 9 at a time. So we add another cone over there and just go 9 at a time. So when you grab the bird here, we like to let them sit for just a little bit while they're alive, upside down. Just like if you were hung upside down by your feet or doing a handstand, next thing you know, all that blood's going to your head. Because I want to know when I slit the throat that I got both sides. You're going to want to cut one little slit here and one slit on this side to get both sides, both jugulars. So I make one slit, I get my thumb here on his beak. They don't feel much for very long. But unfortunately, it's life and death. And there's always pain associated with death. There's nothing you can do about it. God designed it that way. It should stir your stomach a little bit. Because we have to be conscious that we just took that bird's life. And we're going to eat it and be grateful for it. So I come over here, and the rotodunker has these doors on the end, and you can just turn those and they help keep the feet in and whatnot. What you don't want is the feet coming through these holes here, and the feet will catch on the side as it goes around, and it'll stall it out. So you want the feet to be good and out this way. The log is actually in there as a counterbalance because I'm only doing 2 on one side and 1 on the other. As it would go around, it'd slop kind of funny and put extra wear on the motor, so we put a log in there, and that makes it work a lot better. So I just pull that bird out, and if you're not wearing an apron, you'll get all splattered with blood, so be careful. And I go in, at first, I'm going to turn on my rotary, and then this thing turns, so I can just bring the bird to me, keep turning and bringing out the bird. Put my bird in there, shut the door, and one more thing. Secret family recipe, I'm going to add some dish soap. That will break the surface tension on the water, and the soap will cause it to get to the skin. The water will get through the feathers and stuff a lot better and cut through all that grease and whatnot.
How hot does your water get?
145, 155 degrees. Too hot to put your hand in there.
How long do they go in the scalder for?
We have tried timing it and have had no success in getting a time or a temperature that works. What we have had success is the person standing here watching them we don't even go off tail feathers anymore. We used to try to pull the tail feather out to check when they were ready or when we thought they were. Mostly, so he's not pulling out. What we end up coming to a really good workable solution was the feet. If we could rub their yellow off the feet like that real good without any effort, then we knew that one, see, that one didn't rub off quite easy enough. So I'm going to wait just a little bit, but the first batch is typically your hottest batch because I haven't watered down my water, so to speak. Those birds were only 90-some degrees going in. He's going to pluck real nice. So my first 3, 4, 5, 6 birds are going to be hot, and I got to watch them so I don't burn them because the water was really hot. So we're going to bring them in here and pluck them. Go ahead and turn your plucker on before you put your birds in. That way it's already rolling when you drop them in. And then once you get going for just a little bit, you're going to want to hit it with cold water to blanch it, and that'll wet the fingers. And that'll get the rest of the feathers pulled off that maybe wouldn't have normally come off. Plucker is not going to pluck 100% of the feathers off, so don't be like, I didn't get all the feathers. It's not going to get them all, and so there'll be areas that it doesn't, and you just take the hand and pluck those off. But there's your bird. He's pretty well plucked. There you go, and we'll clean the rest of those off, and it'll be good to bag. We're going to take the bird, put it in the shackle like that. Good yellow fat, amino acid fat, I want that staying with the bird. And I've got everything in my hand here. I like to pull it down like this. Just come in here, like this. And there's all that. So I'll set that aside. And I'm going to take the lung rake, come up in here. That, like so. Move that now here. So I want to show you how to clean your gizzard. It can be kind of tricky, but it's actually really easy. Find the hole right here. You want this right here, so your knife going up to the hole. You cut halfway down about that way. And this works better if the gizzard has actually been chilled overnight on ice water. And then find that there, break that open like this, flare it open, and that bag should just fall out like this. Throw that away, lay your gizzard face down, place your knife on the table, don't move the knife, and then drag your gizzard through, and then clean any excess fat off, any feathers, any kind of crud, and then you have a really nice gizzard, no extra portholes or anything like that, and that's how you clean a gizzard. Okay guys, so just want to show you real quick, got the bird all cleaned and eviscerated, gutted, and we're going to show you how we bag it, weigh it, and then we're going to do the shrink wrap on the bag and go that way. So I'll show you how we do the bag. Tried to clean this area here. We were using a Flavor Seal 9x16 bag, and I'm trying these 10x16s from, I cannot remember the name, but we'll probably link the description in there below. So they're cleaning up outside, so there may be a little background noise here. But I put the chicken in head first, and then I take it like that, and just kind of, I want it to look good. I want to present well. So I usually take the neck and poke it around back there like that and behind one of the wings. Then I grab the bag like this and push down with this hand here. And then I grab and twist with my hand like this. Make sure the wings are in the right spot. And then I take one of the zip ties and I put it in like this. Wrap this like this. Pull that tight. You may need pliers. And then I poke a hole right between the wings with a knife and come outside, and I'll show you how we dip it. Okay, so now we're outside. We have the area tarped in for, we don't want any dust, we don't want the wind, rain, anything like that. And then the heat of the scalder and the turkey fryer here actually messes with the temperature inside the container. So we keep the air conditioners, keeping the container cold, and then we're outside here keeping the heat outside. But I got my bag chicken here, all nice and pretty. I kind of know which way I want it to go down in there, and it'll look kind of like this. Less than $5, you can get a long pair of needle nose pliers at Walmart or somewhere, and I just grab the tail of the bag, use this hand to support it, and I go in, I lay it down, and I'm not in there very long. I go down and back, and there's my little hole to let the air come out, and then it'll shrink up real nice around the feet, and that'll pull it real tight, works real good. So let's go back inside, I'll weigh it, and we'll put a sticker on it. Okay, so we're back inside. You got your workspace clean and ready, and of course I'm just doing one bird for demonstration purposes. I take, and typically I do it in one pass, I take the zip tie and the end of the bag, and I make a nice cut, throw that in the trash, just tidies that up, just a little nub there, and then when I freeze it, this tail won't be freezing to the bottom of the freezer or freezing to other chickens and whatnot. I don't have a big ugly tail there. Then I take and I wipe the front down and dry it off right where I want that sticker. I weigh the bird. 7 pounds, 22 ounces. These are big birds. They're at the end of the season, and really big birds. So 722. So I write my weight down. So I'll track all these birds, and then I put my weight on the sticker. And then the sticker, actually, if you're wondering, well, why would I poke the bag? You gotta let the air out, and it's a lot easier than using a straw through the throat. And we're stickering with a food label anyway for the exemption for the Department of Ag. and telling about the pasture-raised, GMO-free diet, no added hormones, no antibiotics. And then it's got the safe handling instructions for handling raw meat. And I'm going to put that right over that hole, press it down gently, and there's your bird right there.